Today, let's talk about a mysterious disappearance case that happened in the United States last century. What makes this case special is its extremely strange circumstances. Despite many eyewitnesses, even after 30 years, there still isn't a conclusion that convinces everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SEMA Investigation Bureau. I'm Shima. The story takes place on May 27, 1995, which was a Saturday. A truck driver named Devin Williams was driving his refrigerated semi-truck on the road. The truck was carrying strawberries and lettuce. He needed to deliver this cargo to a customer in Kansas City by Monday morning. Devin drove into a truck rest area in Kingman, Arizona. It was already late at night. Devin planned to take a short nap here before continuing his journey. Truck drivers who often drive know that it's a very tough job. They drive long hours every day and must stay highly focused. Proper sleep and rest are especially important for them. After a day of driving, Devin was very tired. After parking, he went straight to the back seat of the truck, which he had converted into a resting area just big enough for one person to lie down. That's where he usually slept. That day was no different. He got into his sleeping bag and planned to sleep. Devin actually didn't like being a long-haul truck driver. The job was not only hard, but also required being away from family for long periods. But as the sole breadwinner, he really needed this well-paying job, especially since recently they had just bought a new house and now needed money for renovations. So Devin hoped to finish this job quickly so he could go home and reunite with his family sooner. But for some reason, even though Devin was very tired that day, he just couldn't fall asleep, which made him very frustrated. He had planned to catch up on sleep now, then drive through the day and night to finish the job, and then go home. But if he didn't sleep now, it meant he would have to rest at least once more during the trip, because it's impossible to drive 2 days straight. So Devin tried to force himself to sleep, but as everyone knows, the more you want to fall asleep, the harder it is to do so. Devin was no exception. After tossing and turning for a long time, Devin finally gave up on trying to sleep. He simply went to the bathroom to wash his face. Then he ate something. After that, he called his boss. On the phone, he told his boss, since he couldn't fall asleep, planning to keep driving on the road, then stop somewhere along the way to rest for a bit. But he promised to deliver the goods to the client on time by Monday. Devin's boss is named Tom Wilson. He didn't find anything unusual about Devin's call, nothing out of the ordinary. This kind of situation is quite common for truck drivers. It's pretty normal. And Devin is one of his most trusted drivers, who has always completed all tasks on time before. Despite his burly appearance, Devin actually had a very gentle personality. Almost everyone around him had a high opinion of him. So Tom briefly gave some simple instructions, like to be careful on the road, and then hung up. Devin restarted the truck and continued on his way. Time passed until Monday morning. Tom was sitting in his office when the phone on his desk rang. The caller was the Kansas Distribution Center, the place where Devin was supposed to deliver his cargo. They told Tom that the scheduled delivery time had passed, but his driver hadn't arrived yet. Tom remembered the call Devin had made earlier and thought maybe Devin had caught up on some sleep somewhere else and slept a bit longer. So he told them that the driver might have been delayed on the road but should arrive soon and to wait a little longer. The distribution center said, okay, we'll wait a bit longer. But after about an hour, the distribution center called again, saying the driver still hadn't arrived. This time, Tom started to worry a bit. This was the first time Devin had ever been late with a delivery. Tom thought if Devin really couldn't arrive on time for some reason, he would definitely call to explain. He would definitely call to explain the situation. So he just sat at his desk, waiting for Devin's call. Keep in mind, it was still 1995 then, and their only way to communicate was through Devin's to find a payphone on the roadside and call the office. Tom had no way to contact Devin directly. So Tom waited all evening for the call, finally remembered again, but the call wasn't from Dewan. It was from Dewan's wife, Marilu. She asked Tom why Dewan hadn't come home yet, because Dewan should have been home long ago, after finishing deliveries that morning. Only then did Tom realize something might really have happened to Dewan. So he explained the situation to Marilu. Marilou panicked as soon as she heard and immediately chose to report it to the police. Not long after, the Kansas police came to Marilou's house to take her statement. After hearing Marilou's account, they said they would notify police stations along the route to check if there were any traffic accidents or other incidents on the road. They also reassured Marilou that news should come quickly. The police were so confident for good reason. After all, finding a person can be difficult, but don't forget, Dewan was driving a large truck weighing over 10 tons. Even if they couldn't find him, could they really not find the truck, right? And sure enough, things went as the police expected. Shortly after the assistance notice was sent out, the Kansas police received a reply from the Coconino County Police Department to explain Coconino County is located east of Dewan. The last call was made about 200 miles east of Kingman, roughly 200 miles east of Kingman. This area is known for its natural scenery. The local police said that although Dewan's whereabouts were still unknown, his truck was currently in their county. Moreover, this truck had become a hot topic among the locals. What exactly happened? It turned out that just yesterday, Sunday, the truck appeared inside Coconino County's Tonto National Forest, and it had been rampaging through the park all day, scaring hikers and campers badly. Let's first look at the location of Tonto National Forest Park. You can see that it has completely deviated from the normal driving route. More importantly, Tonto National Forest is a vast, pristine wilderness. Although there are roads, they are narrow and rugged dirt paths, barely passable even for private cars. So, how did Devin's truck end up here? Let's rewind to Sunday morning, right after Devin called his boss, then continued driving for 8 more hours. 2 hikers named Lynn and Jack were camping in Tonto Forest Park. That morning, they were still sleeping in their tent. Suddenly, they were awakened by a low rumbling sound, and the sound was getting louder. They felt it was coming closer. They felt the sound getting closer and closer. So they unzipped the tent, wanting to see what was happening. They saw a huge semi-truck kicking up a cloud of dust as it moved, speeding along the dirt road. Their campsite was right beside that dirt road. Right at the edge of this dirt road, right at a curve, Jack and Lynn never thought I would see such a steel giant in the forest. They were very surprised, and the driver was speeding. Quickly, the truck sped right past them, disappearing at the end of the road. They talked for a while, wondering how a truck could drive into the forest. Jack guessed the truck was probably lost, and maybe the driver planned to reach ahead to find a wider place to turn around. Sure enough, within a few minutes, accompanied by the familiar rumbling and dust, the truck came out of the forest going the opposite way. The truck was still speeding. The truck was still going very fast. They even joked at the time, saying the driver was reckless. After this little incident, Jack and Lynn couldn't sleep. They planned to get up and make some breakfast. But just then, they heard the truck's rumble again. Yes, the truck was back. This really confused them. You can make a wrong turn on your own, right? Why are you back already? However, this time, when they looked to the other side of the road, they saw a small passenger car driving in the opposite direction. Because this was a curve, the 2 vehicles couldn't see each other. Judging by their speeds, the 2 vehicles would likely meet right at the curve. Since the road was extremely narrow, the big truck had already taken up the entire lane, so if neither vehicle slowed down, a collision was inevitable. So Jack and Lynn immediately jumped up, desperately waving at both vehicles, signaling them to stop quickly. The small car, its driver saw Jack and Lynn waving at him and immediately realized there must be another vehicle coming from the opposite direction. So he stopped right away. But the truck driver either didn't see them or for some other reason didn't slow down at all. He maintained his speed, still speeding through the curve. At that moment, the small car driver also saw the truck and noticed the truck wasn't slowing down or intending to stop. So he had no choice but to quickly reverse to avoid it. But the truck was moving too fast, and the road was very narrow. In the end, the small car driver swerved sharply, driving into the bushes by the roadside, which prevented a collision with the truck. Meanwhile, the big truck, as if it saw nothing at all, didn't slow down and sped off. Jack and Lynn, who witnessed everything, immediately ran over to check if the small car driver was injured. Fortunately, the driver was unharmed, but he said when the truck passed by, he glanced at the truck driver and noticed he acted very strangely. He was gripping the steering wheel tightly with both hands, staring straight ahead, not even glancing at the small car. Just later that day, another family came to visit Tonto Forest Park. They hiked through the dense woods and reached a large meadow in the center of the forest. They originally planned to picnic there, but when they arrived, they found a huge semi-truck parked on the grass, which completely surprised them. Standing next to the truck was a man wearing a cowboy hat, staring blankly at the distant mountains. This was completely unexpected for them. A man was standing next to the truck, wearing a cowboy hat, staring blankly at the distant mountains, and he appeared to be the truck driver. The father in this family thought the truck driver might have taken a wrong turn, accidentally driving into this forest. So he shouted to the man, "What happened? Do you need help?" But the man seemed completely unaware, still staring blankly into the distance. So the father slowly walked closer, and as he approached, he realized that the truck's wheels were stuck in the mud. Then he asked again, "Do you need help? I can help you make a call or something." This time, the man finally turned around slowly. But the moment he did, the father was so scared he stepped back several paces. He had seen something extremely strange. The man's mouth was opening and closing rapidly, but no sound came out, only the clicking noise made by his teeth snapping together. You can imagine, this scene was truly eerie and terrifying. The father felt sure this man was mentally disturbed. Just as he was about to turn and return to his family, the man suddenly regained a normal expression and spoke in a very calm tone. "It wasn't me, it was them." But the father didn't understand what he meant by that. At that moment, he was completely terrified by this strange man and didn't have time to think further. He quickly ran back to his family. They decided not to continue camping and instead jumped into the car and drove home. After they got home, they called the police again, recounting their strange experience in the forest. They told the police everything. Based on their description, we found the truck parked in the forest, but we didn't see the strange man he mentioned. Strange. The police inspected the truck thoroughly, but found nothing unusual. It was a refrigerated truck with the compressor still running and the cab doors locked. Looking inside through the windows, the interior was clean and tidy. Then the police opened the cargo area, finding it full of strawberries and lettuce, with no signs of being disturbed. This left the police very puzzled, as it didn't look like a robbery or kidnapping, right? Then they checked the license plate number for any related police reports, but found nothing. It's important to note that it was Sunday at the time, while Devin's disappearance case was only filed on Monday. So, the police could only first find someone to tow the truck out, and it wasn't until the next day, when they received the missing person report about Devin, that they realized this was the missing truck. That's when they made the call to notify the Kansas police. Since Coconino is a small place, such a strange incident quickly spread like wildfire locally, is sparking widespread discussion. After the Kansas police got the news, they immediately informed Mary and Tom, but after hearing the police description, both Mary and Tom said, "There's no way Devin was the driver because this completely doesn't match Devin's usual behavior. Although Devin seems rough, he has a very kind personality, and everyone around him thinks very highly of him, especially his family. He can be described as a perfect husband and father." The police's top priority now is to confirm exactly who was driving. Where did Devin go? So they took Devin's photo and questioned many witnesses from that day, including Jack and Lynn. The bus that was forced into the bushes, the driver, and the father who made the final report, all of them, after seeing the photo, identified Devin as the driver at that time. This left the police very confused because based on the clues they had, they simply couldn't find any motive for Devin to do this. If it was just a wrong turn, not to mention the dirt roads in the park, which are obviously unsuitable for trucks, even within several kilometers. Around the park, there are no truck routes at all. As an experienced driver, Devin definitely wouldn't make such a mistake. Could it be that Devin was kidnapped, taken hostage, or threatened? But according to witnesses, they only saw the driver alone, and his behavior didn't look like someone being kidnapped. Besides, even if it was kidnapping or threat, what would be the kidnapper's motive? Could it be that Devin used drugs or had some mental health issue? But according to those around him, Devin has no history of drug use. The trucking company also conducts regular testing on employees every year, and Devin always passed with no issues. His mental state was always normal, and his family has no related medical history. The police also investigated Devin's relationships, lifestyle, and financial situation. It was found that Dewan had a good relationship with his wife, and neither party was involved in any extramarital affairs, and their family's financial situation was also very good. They had even just bought a new house recently. So, Dewan appeared to be just an ordinary, incredibly ordinary truck driver, simply an ordinary truck driver, and there seemed to be no reason to explain the strange behavior happening to him. So now the only way is to find Dewan himself as soon as possible. Only then can all the mysteries be solved. Thus, the police launched a large-scale investigation in Tonto National Forest Park. During this time, Jack and Lynn, those two campers, provided a crucial clue. They said that when they left the park on Monday, they might have seen Dewan. At that time, they were driving and preparing to leave Tonto Forest Park. Then they saw a man walking barefoot on the park road. So they stopped the car to ask if he needed help. At that moment, they didn't realize that this man might be the driver of the truck they had seen the day before. The truck's driver, but this barefoot man, not only didn't thank them for their kindness, he instead picked up a stone and threw it at their car. So they quickly drove away from the park. Later, when they saw Dewan's photo, they realized that this man was the truck driver. After getting this clue, the police became more convinced that Dewan should still be near the park. After all, he was just hiking in barefoot, so he probably couldn't have gotten very far. But after 3 weeks of searching, they still found no relevant clues. Dewan seemed to have disappeared into thin air. The helpless police eventually had to end the search. Time passed to May 2, 1997, by which time it had been nearly 2 years since Dewan's disappearance. That day, 2 hikers came to Tonto National Forest Park, and they were walking on a trail inside the park. Then they saw a white object in the middle of the path. Curious, they approached and were terrified to discover it was a human skull. It should be noted, this trail is not a secluded path. Many travelers pass by here every day. When the police conducted a large-scale search 2 years ago, they had carefully searched this trail as well. Many travelers pass through here every day. When the police conducted a large-scale search 2 years ago, they also carefully searched this road, but now this skull is just glaringly lying right in the middle of the road. The 2 travelers immediately reported it to the police. When the police arrived, they took the skull for testing. Unsurprisingly, this skull belonged to Devin, who disappeared 2 years ago. This result made the already mysterious missing person case even stranger and more eerie. Various conspiracy theories soon emerged, with some even saying that Devin was controlled mentally by aliens, which led him to act abnormally. Of course, setting aside these unreliable theories, I want to share my own view on this case. The following content is purely my personal speculation, so please don't criticize if you disagree. I think the main cause behind Devin's strange behavior might have been due to drug use. Although his family said he didn't do drugs, it's possible he had just started, so his family hadn't found out yet. Or maybe his family thought it was shameful and chose to cover it up for him. Think about it. Devin was a truck driver, which required long periods of concentration, so he might have used drugs to stay alert, to keep himself awake. That night, because he had to drive at night, he might have taken too much of the drug at once. This could have caused hallucinations, leading to a series of abnormal actions. But even so, it can't explain Devin's death. 2 years later, Devin's skull appeared in the middle of the road. If it wasn't caused by human factors, it could only have been washed there by rainwater or brought there by wild animals. If he had died naturally or by accident, the large-scale search 2 years ago would have found him already. If Devin really did die in a very remote place, then how did his skull end up in the middle of the road? These questions, along with Devin's death, may never have answers. All right, That's all for this episode about this strange missing person case. I wonder if the smart viewers watching now have any unique insights. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.